clear now? Or?
Yes, it's very clear. Just continue. This is part 4, okay, of the interview
Yeah.
I'm having with Steffon. Okay, go ahead, please.
Okay, so let me talk about the progress of this case. So when this reached court now, so here we have a situation where I was falsely arrested. They didn't know how she died at the time. Then evidence was withheld to get a charge by the police. And then during the court proceedings, the pathologist now took it upon himself to be a prosecution of the police, that he's supposed to be independent. His job is to focus on the evidence of my mom's body. But he took it upon himself to, like, for instance, his very first report, it's called a preliminary report. He said, what he said? He said, the right and left transverse fracture to my mom's lower back was possibly, he used the word possibly, caused by stumping. And all of a sudden now, I stopped on my mom and took her life. Now, this is his speculation. That speculation went from one aspect of the body to now like a rumor all over her body. He only specified one area, but yet the police decided now to say, oh, he stomped on the ribs and everything and stomped all over her body. Then he wrote a report a year later after having a specialist to come in by the name of Dr. Mangum. He got his report, and of course, the things that he didn't agree with his specialist, he decided to opt out his report, and he now stated in his new report that the left and right transverse fracture to my mom's lower back can certainly, and he used the word certainly, caused by fall. Now, this report now, all of a sudden now, the name was changed on the report to my mom's name from his name. It was hidden in plain sight. My lawyers that came onto the case could not find the report. I said, well, no, he has another report saying clearly that it can be caused by fall. And they couldn't find it. And then I looked at it, and I said, well, what's my mom doing on the report written by Dr. Mangum? Dr. Badritsky, all his reports, every single one that he wrote is in his name except for this one report. And then I noticed that Dr. Badritsky, he wrote, he wrote that my mom bruising was caught to her eye, which is a dark circles. He's standing in front of the jury, and he's making a fist, and he looks like he's trying to punch himself, but not really punch himself, to give the jury impression that it was a fist that caused this black eye, which the police was saying that it was a black eye, but her partner said no, it's not a black eye, it's a bruise. So we got so many people saying so many different things. That should be the clue for the jury that something's wrong. The biggest clue for the jury is to find out why it took 4 years. No one asked that question. And yet you got witnesses coming out to stand and saying, well, this happened 4 years ago, I can't remember. There's a police officer that came on the scene, because what happened was, my friends and I went to a dinner to try to cheer me up. My friend Joseph was trying to get out the I just wanted to stay in my bed and stay in my room and just grieve. But she got me out. We went to dinner, and then they called me from at dinner. I think it was on the 12th, saying that I have to come in to the police as a significant witness. When I got back home on that day, there were 5 police officers standing outside my door. And I looked at them and said, what's going on? They wouldn't let me get into my house. They refused to let me go in the house. And they had no right to, but they refused. They're saying to me, well, we were word back from our supervisor, but they wouldn't tell me why they were there. So I sat there trying to pick out why they're standing there, because my mom's death was ruled a non-suspicious death and everything was okay. So I didn't think that they were back for that. I thought they were back for the fact that there were drug dealings there's a lot of drug dealings on my block, and it got so bad people now are breaking into your cars just to buy drugs, and savory people coming into the building. And after an hour and a half, they told me eventually, well, the pathologist looked at your mom's body and they found things that shouldn't be there or something like that. And then they told me, well, we can't stop you, and this is after an hour and a half, from entering your property. But you did stop me. But if you choose to go in your property, we will leave here. It makes no sense staying here. But if you choose to stay at your neighbor's, then we would stay here all night to preserve your property. And I say, wait a minute. My mom passed away a week ago. We cleaned the house. We changed the furniture around. How are you going to try to use the scene now and saying that you want to preserve evidence? It's contaminated. Even the senior prosecution on the case, Kirsten Couture, she said in her report, it makes no sense. The scene is contaminated. You can't get nothing from the evidence because I spent a week using the shower and doing what I have to do a week after she passed away. But yet, they still use it in court knowing that they could grab no evidence from it. They try to give the jury the impression that I cleaned the blood up. Then they try to say that my neighbor didn't clean the blood up. I cleaned the blood up. A witness saw me trying to clean the blood up to hide evidence. And then my neighbor now was the one that said she saw the blood when she came down in the morning, and she cleaned the blood. First she said she didn't do it, and then she said she did it. Then my neighbor lied to the police and said, well, she never stepped foot in my house when my mom was there, which is the biggest lie ever. Because I take so many pictures every time we do something. I got pictures in the house, planting my mom here. And what happened is the police now, when I was self-representing, I told them to bring the evidence to me. So the police took advantage for every evidence I choose. They went over it. And then they saw that the neighbor lied about not stepping in my house, coming into my house, and they wrote the prosecution. The prosecution wrote to the neighbor and changed the statement because I was going to bring that into court. It's all about gain for them. Yeah? And the amount of lies that were portrayed in this court, I was like, it went from a very simple case. Very simple case. Did he perform CPR? Did the CPR cause the fractures or an assault? It was that simple. There was no bruises outside my mom's body around her ribs. No bruising at all. But there's bruising on her lower back. There's bruising inside her face, and apparently at her head. Now, they're saying blunt force trauma to the head caused her to die. And why did they say blunt force trauma to the head? Because they call it a noxal injury. And then we hire a pathologist. And this is preposterous. Anyone that suffers with lower blood pressure can have these damages to their brain. And you can also see it in natural death. They try to make the jury believe that you can only see this in a tragic incident. So that evidence was never put forward by my lawyers to the court. Again. And every time, it just felt weird. I have to be telling them things that they should do, and they're not doing it. So I had all this information in my bill application. Excuse me. Let me see. First is I got some paperwork here.
Okay.
I got some paperwork here. 1 second. Let's just paperwork here. Yes. The prosecution tried to make it clear that my mom was isolated, that she didn't have a voice to reach out and say help, that I tormented her and caused her deterioration. Then I found out my own friends that I told not to give sugar to my mom because she's borderline diabetic. They went behind my back and gave her sugar, and now she's full diabetic, and I had no clue that she was until we went to the hospital. So here I am trying to reduce her sugar intake, and it's making it worse because they told me she was borderline. But now she's full diabetic. There was no procedure to release her back in my care after the investigation, and this is very important. It's standard for any time my mom was taken to the hospital, they run an internal investigation. They say any elderly person that comes to the hospital with fractures, they have to do an investigation. They even call social services. They told me I cannot be present when my social services interview my mom. So first time I took her for the fall, they did the investigation. So service came, said no, there's nothing wrong here. And the mom said that she fell, she admitted everything, and then it was a clean bill of health. But there was a recording. I pressed record in the hospital when I was talking to mom. I forgot to turn it off, and the lady asked her, "Do you remember falling?" And she said she can't remember. So sometimes she remembers, and sometimes she don't remember. But the prosecution lock on. They do something called cherry picking. They only pick things that they think would help their case. But anything that contradicts their case, they don't want. Of course, they're not going to mention. And it's my job for my lawyers now to say, well, that's not wrong because that's not right because she did say she fell earlier. But you see, like I said, I can't. And the frustrating part is I have to sit behind a glass. And my lawyers are not doing what I'm saying. They're not mentioning the evidence, and they can't say nothing. That's why I choose to represent myself at one point. So, here we got me trying to save my mom's life, performing CPR, and it just went from that to me trying to take her life. And I'm like, not trying to take my life, me taking her life. And I'm like, this is crap. They know she was dying. Why would I kill a dying woman? That don't make no sense. I have booked her in a home, a care home, which is free to the government to take care of her. And there were some restrictions because she didn't have her legal papers to be in the country, which I was fighting for. This has been going on for a while now. I've been trying to get a lawyer, and I spent over £1,500 to get her lawyer to represent her in the immigration court to say she can't look after herself and that she needs to look after by me. I even made videos. I tried to create good memories. So when she passed, I have all these good memories. But for the court purposes, I had to show the times where she's not herself, when she's acting weird, or doing things that are not normal to prove to the court she can't look after herself. So I made the videos on the night she passed, and I made these videos. The videos were clearly made for immigration. I never knew or ever think that they would be used in a trial for murder. I'm like, damn. And I must admit, in this country, they abuse the word. They don't. The word, when you hear that word murder, the first thing you think about is someone stabbed, shot, poisoned, killed. You don't think that, well, someone's performed CPR, cracked the ribs, and they're saying that the ribs to the torso is what caused the death, alongside with her hitting her head when she slid in the bathroom. The good news is that the expert that the prosecution relied upon in the court case, his name is Dr. Mangum. At first, he was saying the things she wanted him to say, but the one thing he said, and because it was puzzling to me, I've been incarcerated on remand. They call it remand, where you're waiting to go to court, and they will let you go on bail. So anyhow, I'm ready to go to court. We're on remand, all that time. Shoot, what was I talking about again? I lost my train of thought again.
You were talking about the good thing that particular doctor said.
That what, sorry?
You were talking about a good thing that a doctor said.
Oh yes, the pathologist.
Yeah.
He said basically all the reports he wrote. He said that all the fractures can be caused by forceful chest compression or blunt force trauma. So blunt force trauma can mean that she fall over and land on something, or something drop on her, not someone just striking her. These are the possibilities. Yeah.
Right.
But he was adamant, and he stuck to it. No matter how many times he amended his report, he says the same thing. So when I was representing myself, and he was on the stand, I said to Mr. Mangum, could you explain to the court what you mean by forceful chest compression? And he took a skeleton, and he lifted the arms up on the skeleton, and he tried to push the ribs inwards from both sides, the left and the right side, underneath the armpit.
Mm-hmm.
Then he went to the front and the back of the ribs, the chest plate and the back, and tried to push it inwards, like compression, like, like compression. So then I remember my statement that was written in 2020 says that when I moved my mom from the bathroom to the living room, I give her a bear hug. I had to squeeze tight because she was 18 stones, very heavy. Yeah? And me
how much is 18? How much is 18 stones? How much is 18? How much is 18 stones in pounds?
Huh?
How much is that in pounds?
That's a good question. It works out 2.2 pounds is 1 stone.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay.
So I when I did the bear hug and moved her, then my lawyer saying, wait a minute, you did a bear hug? I said, yes. So now he came onto the case. We called back in Professor Mangum, the expert that the prosecution is relying upon and the pathologist is relying upon. He was asked a simple question. Is it possible that all the fractures can be caused by bear hug and CPR? He said yes, instantly. He said it so instant that everyone went quiet because we thought he was going to say something different because he represents the prosecution. From the time he did that, the prosecution was done with him. No mention of him ever. She just focused on the other pathologists that were saying all the negative stuff. So Dr. Mango came over to our side, and then my lawyers at the time, the barrister, they came into the room after court downstairs and said to me, the Dr. Mangan fought the prosecution. Yeah? So basically, he told he told the truth. He told the truth. He said, yes, all the fractures can be caused. Jury ignored that. Jury didn't hear. This is an expert that everyone, the prosecution relied upon. He's the one former expert in this country. And he told the truth. So yes, now, we got the expert for the prosecution saying, hey, CPR and a bear hug can be the cause of all the fractures. And there's one thing that they didn't take in consideration, like this pathologist here. I think it's Dr. Neem. When he said, because I'm a big guy, I weigh about 24, 25 stones, and my mom had osteoporosis, and I'm doing CPR. And everyone knows that when you perform CPR, you're going to crack some ribs. So when I asked him, I did ask him how many rib fractures were caused by CPR. He said about 6. But he was a bit like not prepared for that question because they were also focused on the negativity of the question. What did this wasn't caused by CPR. That was definitely not caused by CPR. So I'm saying, well, we all know I did CPR. We got the recording. So what did CPR cause? And I'm saying to myself, it's common sense. If you are saying CPR did cause some fractures, why didn't it cause the rest? How can an assault do some, but yet the CPR only do a bit? But I come to realize as well, after talking to the doctor, that if you have rib fractures that were healing, only 19 days old, and you perform CPR, those are going to break first and cause a different effect in terms of how the bones break than if someone with rib fractures that had no a fully healed rib, no rib fractures, it will break differently when you perform CPR. None of this was taken into question. So now we went from a simple case, whether CPR or an assault caused the rib fractures, to the point it was murder. And then I found myself in court, in prison, clearly for somebody didn't do. All my lawyers that represented me, they all knew I didn't do it. They all agreed that they can try and get the case torn out. But yet the prosecution and the police lied and manipulated the evidence so that they can convict. And the judge was just as corrupt as them. He didn't do anything. He knew that the police broke the law. There's a gentleman here, I forgot to tell you, he and his 2 sons were put in the prison. The father had nothing to do with the son's activities that caused the death of some other person. All the father did, his son came to him and said, Dad, could you hold on to this bat for me? And this bat was used to cause this person's death, but the dad didn't know at the time. He just took the death. He took the bat. They arrested him and charged him for something called perverting course of justice because he should have handed over the bat to the police. But now he's sitting alongside his son, 21 years for murder, because they arrested him initially for perverting course of justice and they charged him with murder with his sons. And now it's just, the system is so, I can't believe it. I just can't believe it. I can't believe it. Everyone that read my documents here, because they got educationers and they got people that work in the prison system, the officers. I told them, I showed them everything. How this system, I 100% believe I was going home and I was going to bury my mom. But this is one thing I want to tell all the viewers out there. This system don't care. It's about, all to them is about money. My mom was on ice in a fridge for 3 years, 2 months, rotting. Never in the entirety of my family that I wasn't, that someone passed and they weren't able to pay respects and let them and bury them the traditional way. My mom, only 2 people showed up to collect her body when they collect her ashes when they cremated her, and she was all alone. They treat my mom worse than death. Than when she was when all the times when she was not working and have to struggle to get money and I had to send money for her. It treats her worse than death as far as I'm concerned because there was no respect. I begged them to let me bury my mom, let me lay my mom to rest. They wouldn't let me at all. And that really hurt.
Yeah.
And my strength, all my fight, was to show the disrespect. They didn't even talk about my mom. I didn't even get a chance to say, look, my mom is a really nice person. Her favorite music is West Country and Western, and she loves calypso, and she loves what I call it, gospel music. Things that she liked to do and like what she talk about. My mom just loves to talk about television. If you met my mom, within 5 minutes, she's going to talk about television. And I try, you know what? I try to put myself in her position and watch TV and see why she loved TV so much. And the thing about television is that when you watch movies, they touch the heart. Some movies touch the heart, show you the goodness. And that's all fantasy because good is hard to find in reality. I was blessed with finding a girlfriend. We were together for about 14 years. Her name was Sarah. She was the best thing that ever happened to me. And when I lost her, I was devastated. I could not find anyone like her. She was the best person in my life. And I keep hoping that one day that I can meet her and tell her, listen, you know what? You're the best person ever I have in my life, and I was glad to meet you because she was wonderful. But that's a different story. So now, my mom, when she was with me for 7.5 months, she talked to her brothers and sisters constantly. Her sister in Canada, Carol, used to speak to her constantly, at least 4 times a week. Everyone's checking to make sure she's okay. But yet, the prosecution was able to get away with saying she was isolated, she had no voice. When he was hurting her, she couldn't tell no one. All lies. The jury didn't even know that my aunt was staying with me for 5 weeks. How many people she talked to? Nothing. But yet, I'm reading the papers. Oh, he took his mom's life. He's a monster. His own mother. Lucky for me, the prisoners understand the truth because I just showed them the paperwork and showed them all the injustice. They couldn't believe it. People are just shocked. They couldn't believe it. I mean, I was the one that shocked. I went into depression. My health has dropped tremendously now. I have to be on antidepressants. I have to get a machine now to help me sleep. And I'm suffering with panic attacks and what's the other thing that got me? My blood pressure's through the roof. So I'm closely monitored now for my health. But I haven't given it yet. My family told me just keep fighting the appeal now. I'm waiting for someone to come forward. Mm-hmm. I'm willing. You see, this is another thing. I'm trying to find a lawyer to not only represent me in the appeal, but to expose the corruption. That shouldn't happen. This shouldn't happen. But when I call them, and as soon as I mention what happened, they get scared. They run. Oh, no, we can't take on your case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's another thing. I mean, this lady, I spoke to this lady from a different firm. I said, listen, I need someone willing to confront this corruption, because there was a man in prison over here for 17 years for allegedly raping a woman, and his DNA was not even his DNA on the lady. It was a different DNA. And they left this man in prison for 17 years before they dropped the charges.
Mm.
Yeah.
So how's the food there?
Sorry.
How's the food there at the prison? How's the food there at the prison?
Sorry?
How is the food there at the prison? You said they're treating you well medically.
Some days you get roast potato and roast chicken. The Sundays is okay.
Mm-hmm.
But the food is like, you got no choice. See, sometimes the rice is hard, sometimes it's soft, sometimes the chicken is not properly cooked, and the water is not clean. I must admit, you got to boil the water. The water is not clean.
Okay.
But this is an establishment, because the different establishment that things improve and better facilities for the prisoners. But this one here is just a remand station, so
okay.
It's not
so you mean you're going to be moved again to a permanent place?
Yes, they're going to move me. If I don't get this appeal through as soon as possible, they're going to move me to a more substantial prison, because they gave me life in prison. And like I said, the fact that they used my son's case, knowing well, is corrupting, and that is another miscarriage of justice. They didn't care.
Mm-hmm.
They just did it again.
Mm-hmm.
So now I got the chance now to expose all this to the system.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like I said, sadly, being in this country and learning from 2004 that people can just lie and destroy your life, I always make sure I got recordings. And recordings saved my life so many times.
Yeah.
Because they don't believe I can say, no matter what I say, it doesn't make a difference. I met this young lady just after I came. I was going through the court case. Yeah, her name was Margaret. Margaret. I told her that I was married in '91, and she acted weird, because this is 2000 and this is 2019, going 20. And she's saying, well, I always end up with married men. And I say, no, we're not married anymore. I was married. But I asked her to leave, and she left, and then she came back at 1 o'clock, and she was banging on the door trying to get back into my house. And I say, no, I'm not going to let you in. And then she keep banging on the door, woke up the neighbors. And then when I told her to leave, she called the police and told the police that I pushed her on the floor and rubbed her face in the dirt. Police came to my house. I got CCTV footage to show that she was alone, that she tripped over the hedge. And I said to the officers, all we have to do is step into the living room, be in the bedroom, so I can show you the footage. No, the police arrested me, put me in the cell overnight, then look at the footage and release me.
Mm.
That's the system we have to deal with here. And then, if you got any previous history, it doesn't matter how long it is, they grab you. They like to recycle people here.
Right.
Yeah. In America, you pay your debts. You pay a debt to society. As long as you try to make a better life for yourself, that's it. But here, no.
But you're right there. You're right there with the colonial masters. They know what to do. I mean, you're right with them. So, yeah, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get it. You're gonna get. It's who they are. That's the blueprint of who they are. It's just who they are.
Yeah, I'm at the point now. I went to immigration and asked them to relinquish my birthright. I want nothing to do with this country, man. It's too corrupt, man. I said, how can? And then you gonna live the rest of your life looking over your shoulder for any little thing that will put you back in prison.
Yeah, it's who they are. It's who they are. They've been doing it for so long. They go to bed. It's half an hour. You're gonna be cut off pretty soon. You're gonna be cut off pretty soon. It's half an hour.
Yeah, no, it's gonna cut out now.
Yeah.
So what we're gonna do.
Another time, because I have to go off now. We did 2 hours, so.
Oh, good.
We could continue again. We could continue again.
I'll call you back next week.
Okay.
Yeah?
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Okay. Have a good one. This is Sherry Veronica, Naked Departure Radio.
Help me spread the word about Naked Departure via social media. Subscribe and share to show support and love for our channels.